What is going on, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. Got another post-game live stream for you guys today. The Cowboys fell to the Houston Texans by a final of 20-14 last night. I am having to do this for a second time now because I just streamed for 40 minutes, went through my whole entire notes and everything, only to realize that I privated the stream. I know, so tough. But I'm here now. Everything's good. It's public. Rookie mistake. I don't have any YouTube experience whatsoever. So, just learning as I go. But we're going to get into this. I'm going to kind of briefly run through this because going out to dinner here in about an hour. And like I said, I already did an entire 40-minute stream. This sucks. This sucks. Next time, I'm going to make sure that I make the stream public and not private. That way this doesn't happen again. Like I said, Cowboys lost 20-14. Let me adjust my chair's height real quick. Lost 20-14 last night. Before we get into all the good things and the bad things, I would just like to point out that about 90% of you guys that watch my videos, which is the majority, are not subscribed to my channel. So if that is you, do me a favor, hit that big red subscribe button. Also drop a like on the video and leave a comment down below if you're watching this back, what you thought about the game. Or if you're in my chat, come hang out. Fair warning. I can't really view my chat right now. I only have one monitor, so if you're saying stuff and I'm not, responding, I'm not ignoring you, I just can't see it. I might peek back on the chat screen a few times, but I'm looking at my notes the entire time I'm streaming. So once again, apologies, and I'm not ignoring you. So yeah. All right, let's get right into it. I want to start with the defense in this game. Bear in mind, I was at this game, so I didn't get to watch it live. I did go back, watch some highlights and stuff just to kind of get a grip on everything that happened, but I didn't really see everything up close and personal like I would have the first two preseason games on TV. And there's no coach's film obviously right now, so I can't give you an entire spiel on everything that happened. So yeah, just fair warning. Like I said, let's start with the defense. Dan Quinn and Carlos Watkins, they were both sent home for COVID protocol about 90 minutes before kickoff. Micah Parsons said it wasn't much of an issue in his post-game presser. I'm taking that with a grain of salt because when you lose your defensive coordinator, that's definitely a little bit uncomfortable and, in my opinion, a bit of an issue. But like I said, Parsons said it wasn't much of an issue in his presser, whatever. Let's start with the defensive line. Osa Odighizuwa, I've been banging the table about this guy. One word, impressive. Massive stop on 4th and 1 towards the beginning of the second quarter and a huge factor in the run game last night. In my opinion, we will not be missing much in Neville Gallimore's absence. The third-round selection out of UCLA, former wrestler, been a big fan of him ever since the Cowboys drafted him. And if he continues at this pace next Sunday and into the season, you might see a steady rotation of Neville Gallimore and Brent Urban because he might be a solidified starter. Back when we first streamed, I called him a week 1 starter. That was my putting my foot out there take. Trying to think of a way to say that, but that was my thing. It was a little stupid at the time. Barring an injury, it would have happened, and in this case, where we are now, Neville Gallimore now at 4 to 6 weeks, probably won't be back till that week 3 Monday night game against Philly. It will happen. But Osa Odighizuwa, like I said, impressive. He did everything right tonight, in my opinion, from what I saw, and like I said, I really don't think we're missing much with Neville Gallimore's absence. Dorrance Armstrong, Bradley Anae, who had a sack in this game, just continue to prove on the success we've seen since the Arizona game. They were two guys that a lot of people heading into camp had potentially as roster cuts, just seeing how they've been with the Cowboys for a few years now and haven't really done much, haven't really lived up to those expectations. But this past week or so in camp as the Cowboys return to Dallas, they've really shined. So these guys probably will stay on the roster if they keep up at this pace. I don't see a scenario in which they don't get cut. I don't think they'll be placed on the practice squad. The Cowboys need depth at the pass rushing position, seeing how Randy Gregory is experiencing a workload he's never experienced in his NFL career. It's the first time he's playing a full season in the league. And DeMarcus Lawrence has already played through injury last year, just came off the physically unable to perform list, I want to say about a few weeks ago. And he's getting older, so there probably will be some injuries along the way with the pass rush. We have Terrell Basham, yet to see him. He got injured in that joint practice against the Rams a few weeks ago. And Chauncey Golston, a guy that a lot of people are high on, has been out the entire training camp. So I think Dorrance Armstrong and Bradley and if they keep this up and continue to play the way they're playing, they're going to be really helpful to this team's pass rushing depth. The linebackers, Micah Parsons, he played an entire half. We got a better look at his closing speed, which Todd Archer, I believe, excuse me, it was him that tweeted it out. We talked about his speed, but we haven't really talked about his closing speed, and that we saw a lot in pass coverage tonight, which we haven't seen much of so far this preseason. We've seen a lot of him, shooting the gap, stopping the run in the time that he's been in the game and rushing the passer, but not really in coverage. And I think Micah Parsons is a beast in coverage. He's going to have coordinators, offensive coordinators guessing where is he going to be? Is he going to be covering my tight end? Is he going to be rushing my quarterback? Like, what is he doing? And that's what Micah Parsons brings to the field, is his versatility and his ability to keep offensive coordinators guessing. So I liked what I saw in pass coverage last night. And like I said, just week after week with these rookies, they're going to continue to get better. Micah Parsons has the ability to be this defense's game changer. In my opinion, is the best player, the best talent the Cowboys have on this defense right now. Specifically, before we move on, I want to talk about a certain play with Parsons. They double-teamed him. He got off that double team pretty quick and pressured Tyrod Taylor, forced him to throw the ball a little quicker than probably he'd have liked. So that was really, really nice to see. Things aren't necessarily perfect with him, and going back to what I said about rookies just improving week after week, this is a perfect example of that. He collided with Keanu Neal at one point, said in his postgame presser he probably took a few more steps than he should have, but it won't be a problem come week one, so that's always nice to hear. But Micah Parsons, as good as he is, and as much as we rave about Micah, it's not perfect. He's a rookie after all. There will be some bumps along the road. Leighton Vander Esch, he was super active last night, seemingly everywhere. Looked like the rookie version of himself. The dude, like I said, he was just around the ball, making tackles, doing everything. He's at a nice camp, nice preseason. It's kind of flown under the radar just because of Micah Parsons. That's the one linebacker the Cowboys fans and coaches have really shined spotlights on. But Leighton Vander Esch has done a lot of good things, and I feel like I said, it's kind of flown under the radar, under the rug. The thing with Vander Esch last year and in the year before was just his inability to stay healthy, and that's going to continue probably into this season. I don't think he's guaranteed to play all 17, but when he was on the field, when he was healthy last year and the year prior, he wasn't playing all that well, and we always talk about how Jalen Smith is terrible and how he's regressed. Leighton Vander Esch wasn't far behind him. He just really wasn't ever on the field, so we didn't really get to see it week after week. The thing with Vander Esch, though, I mean, if we're seeing what we're seeing now into the season, I'm fully confident in Vander Esch. If he can stay healthy, which is the key to his talent, ability, peaking at what we saw his rookie year, then he'll be fine. I think the problem with Vander Esch not being able to perform in the years prior, other than that rookie year, was just the fact that he wasn't on the field. Football is a fast-paced game. Looking at you, Justin Fields. If you're not out there for a specific period of time, you're going to miss a step. It's going to happen. Only the most talented of the bunch miss time and come back and still dominate. Guys like Sean Lee, a legend. Leighton Vander Esch has the potential to do things like that because of his ability as a linebacker. We saw his rookie year, he just got to stay healthy. That's the thing. Missing time is missing a beat, and that's probably why you come back and don't play it as well as we've seen in the past. So just the key for Vander Esch is staying healthy. If he can stay healthy, I have confidence he's going to play really, really well. Jabril Cox. Now, this is a guy that I talked about so much in the pregame, and I have really shined the spotlight on over the past few weeks. He was tied for the Cowboys' leading tackler in this game with 4. He also had a tackle for loss. At one point, back-to-back tackles on first and second down to open up the second half. He played really, really well against the run. Dude's a straight tackler, and he's going to be a special teams guru. Potentially a starter next year. He's going to have to sit and wait. Going to have one of those just wait and watch years. There's just so much depth on this team at the linebacker position. You got Keanu Neal, Vander Esch, Jalen Smith, Jabril Cox, Micah Parsons. There's just so many talented linebackers. I have to imagine either Jalen or Leighton Vander Esch is not with the Cowboys come 2022, so that probably opens up a role for Jabril Cox at that point. But, right now, Jalen Smith for me, and I think what the Cowboys are inching towards is linebacker number 4. So if we see a lot of great things out of Jabril Cox on special teams come the regular season, there's potential for him to pass Jalen Smith and make Jalen Smith the 5th linebacker in this depth chart as we get midway through the season. You just got to see him perform in the regular season, because he's done a lot of great things in the preseason. I told you guys in the preview, don't put your phone down. He comes in a lot during the fourth quarter, which is why we don't really get to talk about him that much, because not many people are still watching the game at that point. They either flip to another channel or they're scrolling through TikTok or whatever. But Jabril Cox, he's that guy. And this is someone I told you guys to watch even as this game progressed into garbage time or the later stages. Cornerbacks, Kelvin Joseph, he had himself a better game than last week. We all know that he didn't have a really good game against Arizona. He was getting picked on, thrown at a lot, made some great plays, gave up some plays, and I'm talking about this week now. He was getting real physical. According to Twitter, the refs probably missed a few flags here and there. Like I said, I was at the game, so I didn't really get to see that up close and personal from a TV camera's point of view. But just with Kelvin Joseph and Deshaun Wright, things I've said in the past, just look for them to continue to get better week after week. Kelvin's probably going to take a year or two to reach his peak potential. I know a lot of Cowboy fans are excited to have Kelvin Joseph. I am, and I'm not hating on Kelvin Joseph. I've gotten some comments before saying that I'm hating on him. I'm not. I just think that there's going to be some growing pains along the way. He's a second-round corner, kind of like Trayvon Diggs. We all know Trayvon Diggs isn't perfect yet. And the same can be said for Kelvin Joseph. Kelvin has issues with football IQ, getting fooled on double moves, stutter steps, things like that. He's not going to be perfect out the gate. He's going to have some highs. He's going to have some lows. He's not going to start week one and probably won't start until, a quarter of the way, midway through the season, if he does. There's some surprises here in the cornerback room. We'll get to them here in just a second. But Kelvin Joseph, like I said with Deshaun Wright, just take it week by week. He'll get better eventually, but he hasn't reached that peak potential yet. Anthony Brown, he had himself a roster-worthy night, in my opinion, and by that I mean just enough to stay on the roster. We talked about him in the preview as a guy that really needs to give us something to talk about, and he needs to do some things out there, and he did. Had a couple pass breakups here and there. I just think with the Cowboys situation in the cornerback room, I just talked about, inexperienced guys like Kelvin Joseph and Deshaun Wright. Having a veteran is nice, and especially one that occasionally can show up and make some plays like he did tonight. He's had a better camp as time progresses. So I think, like I said, he did just enough to stay on the roster. He's making damn near $5 million against the cap. I think the exact figure is somewhere around $4.5 million, but it's closer to $5 million, according to some people. I'm not sure exactly. I don't know the money situation for every player on this roster, but for a 30-year-old, I believe he's 30, outside corner, short guy, he's got to do, for some people, they think he's got to do a lot to stay on this roster. For me, just enough to stay on the roster, and he did that tonight, or last night. Maurice Kennedy, he's the surprise I was talking about. He really continued his camp and preseason success into this game. A lot of people are looking at him as potentially a new slot cornerback. I don't think he'll start week one. I think Jordan Lewis has got that job against Tampa Bay just because of the experience. But Maurice Kennedy is a guy that a lot of people, kind of like Dorrance Armstrong and Bradley and I, had as a roster cut heading into camp. Obviously, he sat out last year. Not many people were really expecting him to outplay his contract so far through camp, and he's done exactly that. He's made a lot of great plays here and there. I remember specifically in that Rams-Cowboys joint practice a few weeks ago, he picked off Matthew Stafford, and it was just a completely athletic play. Like, it was everything you would like to see out of a cornerback. He's had a lot of pass breakups in these first few preseason games. Like I said, I don't think he'll start week one, but look for him to get a lot of playing time as we get a quarter of the way or so through the season. Talking for 15, 20 minutes straight, not as easy as it looks. The safeties, Jabril Cox and Malik Cooker. Let's start with Malik Cooker, who got his first game action tonight. Had a huge hit on a receiver coming across the middle midway through the third quarter. Noted for his tackling this game, which is huge considering that's been a major flaw in Malik Cooker's career, is his ability to tackle. And we'll talk a little bit more about that after I note this other thing is considering his inability to stay healthy, it was just really comforting to see him out there looking like his normal self. And now going back to the tackling. Like I said, a huge flaw throughout his career, and to see him make that huge hit midway through the third quarter on that receiver coming across the middle, and I believe it was an in route, that was everything for me. Malik Cooker has the potential to be the bargain in the offseason if he can play like he's played in the past as just a super ultra rangy free safety, and then add on to that an ability to tackle better than he has in his career. We don't know the exact figures of the contract yet. For some reason, they just won't release it. I have to imagine it's probably just a one-year deal. Can't be over $2 million. But Malik Cooker, like I said, just has the potential to be one of the bargains of the offseason. And I know John Johnson's contract was a really good deal. A lot of teams would have probably liked to have had John Johnson for the money the Cleveland Browns gave him and the years. But Malik Cooker, really, really good safety. And as long as he can stay healthy, which that's the big question mark. That's been the problem with Malik Cooker his entire career, is his inability to stay on the field, coming off an Achilles injury from last year. So we'll just have to see if he's going to stay on the field for at least half the season, because I feel like that's a real problem with Malik Cooker, and we're going to see that as we get into the season and he's out there, playing football, which is a very physical sport. It's not easy to stay healthy for all 17. Much easier said than done. But that's why we got guys like Jabril Cox, who, in my opinion, was the surprise of the night. The dude was all over the field, had a near sack that forced the quarterback to throw it away. He eventually got flagged for an intentional grounding on that play at the end of the half. He's going to be a guy that's utilized on special teams and should be a solid fallback option if any of our safeties were to go down. We've talked about just now how Malik Cooker's had health issues his entire career. Demonte KZ, same deal, coming off an Achilles as well. In my opinion, he took Darian Thompson's roster spot. There's really no way to tell how many safeties this Cowboys team is going to bring with them into the season. We all know they're probably going to bring 7 corners, so that leads me to believe that's one less safety they're going to bring. And in my opinion, that's probably Darian Thompson. I think Jabril Cox definitely took his roster spot. I know Darian Thompson is a guy that the Cowboys have liked over the past few years, but considering the money situation they're in, he's making over $1 million against the cap, and I think Jabril Cox outplays Darian Thompson in every aspect of the game, especially last night. We saw it from him. And like I said, special teams, he's going to be utilized in there quite a bit. Dude's a straight tackler, and he's done a lot of great things throughout this preseason. At some point, leading up to the season, I'll go over guys that have really impressed us thus far over the past month or so, or at that point, it'll be a month for now. It's like the past 3 weeks. And Jabril Cox is going to be on that list because he's done a lot of great things and really just continued that success tonight. All right, let's move on now to the offense. I'm going to run through the quarterbacks, running backs, receivers, tight ends, and the offensive line. Then I'll wrap this up. The quarterbacks, let's start with them. Garrett Gilbert, who a lot of people kind of assumed was the guy for quarterback number 2. He was, in a lot of people's opinion, leading that race among Cooper Rush and Ben DiNucci as the others. But I don't think the Cowboys coaching staff sees it that way. He played one drive last night and got pulled immediately after. It was not a pretty drive whatsoever. He tripped over the center. I believe it was Tyler Biadasz at the time. It might have been Connor Williams getting some reps at backup center. I'm not sure who it was, but he tripped over the center, nevertheless, on second down, and then immediately after on third down, fumbled the football away and then got pulled. Todd Archer tweeted this right afterwards. Garrett Gilbert led drives this preseason. I'll read them off. For the Pittsburgh game, field goal, missed field goal. For the Arizona game, a punt, turnover on downs, a field goal. And then against this game on last night against Houston, a fumble and then a punt. So that's a big yikes. I don't know if I said he played one drive. I think he played 2. I don't know. He didn't play a lot in this game. He played a lot less than I think a lot of people really expected him to play. It was just not pretty for Garrett Gilbert. And Cooper Rush now, in my opinion, is in serious contention for this team's backup quarterback. He hasn't quite exceeded or passed Garrett Gilbert yet, just because we haven't really been able to see Cooper Rush replicate his preseason standout success, which is what he's been known for in his career in the regular season. It's going to be quite the battle next Sunday against Jacksonville between Garrett Gilbert and Cooper Rush. But as far as what Cooper Rush did in this game, he looked like a legitimate NFL quarterback. Most of his throws were on target. He went 10 for 12, just around 100 yards, got 97 exactly. 2 touchdowns. That's, I believe, more than any other quarterback in the preseason for the Cowboys thus far. So, I mean, I'm a fan of Cooper Rush. Just like I said, the only thing that's got me second-guessing him is his inability to replicate his preseason success in the regular season. And Barry Church talked about that a lot on the postgame 105 through the fan last night. As I was heading home from the game, I got to listen in to a little bit of that. But that's the thing. Like I said, it's going to be a very interesting battle to watch through this next week of camp and into the game on Sunday against Jacksonville. I have to imagine Garrett Gilbert's going to get a half and Cooper Rush is going to get a half. So we'll see that battle take place before our very own eyes, and it's going to be fun to watch. But ultimately, you just hope that Dak Prescott can stay up for all 17. We have to talk about him. Excuse me, the third quarterback in this running. Ben DiNucci, he will be a roster cut on Tuesday. 14 for 19, 120 yards, 3 interceptions. One of them was a pick six. He looked awful in this game. It's been a sad situation, in my opinion, that's unfolded for Ben DiNucci. I was a fan of Ben DiNucci. I had optimism for him just coming into camp, seeing how he had done in the offseason in terms of building up his strength. I think the one good thing I will say about Ben DiNucci is he's very quick, and there probably will be a team that takes a chance on him. But I don't really think he's got a career in the NFL. He just did not look good. He hasn't looked good thus far in camp and in the preseason. Like I said, it's a sad situation, and it was really, really sad to see Dak Prescott set aside and following that second interception. I posted a video of it on my Twitter @_DTXMichael. Go check it out. But it looked like he was offering words of encouragement. The Hard Knocks crew swooped in, but they were a little late. So we probably won't get to see that conversation on Hard Knocks, unfortunately. If we do, it'll be the back end of it. The team likes him. The locker room is a fan of Ben DiNucci. I don't know if you guys have realized, but, a lot of the playmakers on offense, guys on defense, they like Ben. And it's an unfortunate situation. The NFL is a business after all. There's no place for Ben DiNucci on this roster. I don't even think his relationship with Mike McCarthy can save him his roster spot at this point. So he, like I said, will probably be a part of Tuesday's roster cuts because now you have Cooper Rush and Garrett Gilbert in that battle for the backup quarterback position on Sunday. So there's really no room for Ben DiNucci, in my opinion. Moving on now to the running backs. Tony Pollard, he looked great. 5 carries, 20 yards on the ground, had, I believe, 16 through the air. That one touchdown he scored was on a screen pass. 16-yard rush was, I believe, his longest. It's going to be super easy managing Ezekiel Elliott's workload with Tony Pollard healthy. This is something the Cowboys have made note of, that they're going to kind of progressively increase Zeke's workload as the season goes on. So we're going to see a little more of Tony Pollard at the season's beginning. Zeke has got a ton of mileage on him. The dude is one of the older guys, along with Amari Cooper, on this roster, and he's not necessarily old, but of the guys on this offense, he's one of the oldest in terms of your playmakers. So you want to keep him fresh for the end of the season when it comes down to those tight races and even into the postseason, hopefully. So like I said, it's going to be super easy managing that workload with Tony Pollard, as good as he is and as long as he's healthy. I mean, Tony Pollard can be probably a starting running back for a third of the teams in the league, and as Cowboy fans, we just got to enjoy him while we have him, because there's no way he takes a backup role when he hits free agency here in a few years. At this pace, if he keeps it up, he is definitely a starting running back somewhere else in the league. Rico Dowdle, running back number 3 for sure, 6 carries, 31 yards, has just kind of kept up the success we saw in the Hall of Fame game starting then, and then as we furthered into the preseason against Arizona on Friday and now against Houston yesterday. In my opinion, a lock for the 53-man roster. Probably going to see some time on special teams. If Zeke was to go down, he's a great backup option for Tony Pollard. I just think that for sure he's a lock for the 53-man roster at this point. The wide receivers, CD, Michael Gallup, they both look great. Cedric Wilson holding a touchdown this game. He's continued to prove that he's a solid fallback option. If any one of the big 3 1,000-yard receivers go down, kind of like Tony Pollard, I don't think that next year he is a Dallas Cowboy. I think he's definitely a starting slot receiver somewhere else in the league. The Cowboys, it kind of surprised me that they got him back for only $1 million. It surprised me that he didn't go somewhere else, because I've always thought of Cedric Wilson as a really, really good receiver. This Cowboys team is just full of talent at the receiver position, and Cedric Wilson, like I mentioned, a great fallback option if anyone was to go down. Amari Cooper, he got his feet wet in this game. It scared me a little when he tripped on that reverse, but kind of like Zeke, you're not going to see him much more in this preseason. You might not even see him at all on Sunday. Maybe they throw him in there just because he hasn't really gotten that much time in camp. He just now came back from that offseason ankle surgery last week. I believe his first practice was Monday. Or actually, technically, that was this week. So, they might throw him in there just for like a series or two, but it was just a game to get his feet wet. Nice to see him back in there. And then Noah Brown. Is he back? 3 receptions, 35 yards. We've seen so many guys that could potentially make an impact on special teams that Noah Brown was kind of like the odd man out. He wasn't really making that much noise in the time that he was in. But 3 receptions, 35 yards. We know John Fossil likes him. It's going to be a really interesting situation to see how this back end of the receiver depth chart folds out, you got guys like Reggie Bush, super fast, another potential special teams weapon. We just mentioned Noah Brown. Cedric Wilson is a lock. Malik Turner was, before this game, one of the top 10 leading receivers in the preseason, and he's another special teams guy. Injured right now, obviously, had a minor ankle injury in that game against Arizona. Don't know when he'll be coming back. And then Simi Fioco. You got guys everywhere. The Cowboys aren't going to bring 7 receivers with them. They have plenty of receivers, but for sure, the guys that I just mentioned, guys like Fioco, Reggie Davis or Reggie Bush, I don't quite remember what his last name is. I'm blanking on it. Malik Turner, if they don't make this roster, they're going to get picked up elsewhere. There's a lot of talent this Cowboys team has at receiver, and it's just going to be unfortunate to see who gets cut. I think obviously you cut guys like Aaron Parker, Oscar Mitchell, those type of guys. But as for everyone else, going to be interesting to see how they sort that out. We're really going to see those receivers go at it, the ones that are still here on Sunday against Jacksonville, because that's when you really filter out that roster, is that last preseason game. The tight ends and the O-line, then we'll wrap this up. It was nice to see Blake Jarwin and Dalton Schultz looking good following their injuries. It almost looked as if they never missed a step. Jarwin had a nice 25-yard grab down the seams from Cooper Rush as part of the Cowboys' first scoring drive, and then Dalton Schultz just continuing to do what he's been doing thus far in the preseason and even dating back to last year when he filled in for Blake Jarwin, who came out on Week 1 against Los Angeles with what I believe was a torn ACL. I think it was an ACL, not an Achilles. Regardless, he was out for the season. He just continued to get open and find space while he was open, so that's nice to see. Cowboys got quite the group there with their 1 and 2 tight ends. The offensive line, though, we'll talk about the offensive line a little longer than the tight ends because I feel like it needs to be addressed. The backup offensive line is atrocious, and that is a problem. Whether or not you guys want to believe it, it is. The Cowboys' offensive line is good on paper. Tyron Smith, La'el Collins, Zach Martin. The problem is there is no guarantee any of those guys can stay healthy for all 17. We know Tyron Smith has had health issues. He's on the wrong side of 30. So, you're obviously going to have someone come in and fill in for him because there's no way, like I said, he stays healthy the entire season. La'el Collins has already had injury history. He missed the entire season last year. He dealt with a minor neck injury in practice on Wednesday. I'm not confident that he can stay in for all 17. Zach Martin, we started to see him get hit by the injury bug towards the end of last season. He's approaching that 30-year-old age. I don't know if he's quite there just yet. I probably should have looked that up before doing this, but he's only getting older. So there's no guarantee that all 3 of those guys stay healthy for all 17. There just isn't. And that's when you bring in your backup offensive line, and it is, like I said, atrocious. There is no 3 1,000-yard receivers with an offensive line as bad as we saw it tonight or last night. There is no Ezekiel Elliott dominating. You can't protect Zeke with Isaac Alarcon and Connor McGovern. Well, I think Connor McGovern is pretty good. Those guys all together, Ty and Segi, you just can't do it. You can't protect Dak. This team isn't a short. It's a passing team, but it's not a short passing team. It's not a medium passing team. It's a deep passing team. You got CeeDee Lamb turning him into a deep threat. Michael Gallup working out of the slot, but ultimately he's been a deep threat his entire career. Amari Cooper, obviously a deep threat. You need time in the pocket if you're Dak Prescott in order to allow these routes to develop. And with a backup offensive line as atrocious as it is, at some point we're going to see this offensive line in the regular season. And there's going to be no time for these routes to develop. You can't score 40 a game. We know this defense is the liability of this team between the offense and the defense. And if the offense is what's going to keep this team in games, you need a better offensive line, a better backup offensive line. Because like I've said many, many times before, and I've been stressing in this past few minutes, there is no way these starters all stay healthy for all 17. The swing tackle, I think, is the most important position. Ty Nsekhe, he'll stay on the roster. He's improved week after week, but there's a reason he's a backup. I think the Cowboys, from a talent perspective, would have gone with Cameron Ervin. But the thing with Cameron Ervin is he can't stay healthy either. So I think Ty Nsekhe ultimately was the better decision, despite what you want to believe. But really, the swing tackle, in my opinion, should be Zach Martin. Or when I should say Tyron and La'el go down, I think you pull Zach Martin from the guard spot, put him at tackle, slide Connor McGovern in. And that's how you go about utilizing your swing tackle. But the Cowboys may view that differently. I don't know. I'm not in the building with them. I don't know how they're going to go about that, but I think that's, in my opinion, how I would do it. But just, going back to Ty Nsekhe, like I said, he'll stay on the roster. He's improved week after week, as I mentioned, and he is this team's swing tackle. Guys like Terrence Steele, Brandon Knight, I don't know. Terrence Steele might make his way onto the practice squad just because the Cowboys coaching staff, for some reason, sees a lot in him. I don't know why they believe in Terrence Steele as much as they do. I know he improved a little bit last season, but I don't see it. If you guys see it, let me know. I don't. But he'll probably make the practice squad. Brandon Knight will not be a part of this roster. He's terrible. Really, the backup tackles on this team is atrocious, and I think that's the most important part of your backup offensive line is your swing tackles, guys like those. And it's just unfortunate to see that the Cowboys don't really have that depth. And that's going to be a big issue, I think, heading into the season. All right, that's where I'm going to leave this stream at, or I'm going to finish the stream off. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to drop a like, leave a comment, and subscribe. Picking up my chat right now. I appreciate y'all hopping in. I don't know if y'all were here earlier, but I'm not ignoring you. I see all these comments. I don't have a second monitor, so I can't really see my chat live as it's happening. I apologize. I will work on getting a second monitor eventually. But as of right now, I'm looking at my notes the entire time I'm doing this, so I'm not able to see my live chat. I apologize. I'm not ignoring you, I promise. But I appreciate you guys, for the ones that are in here right now, coming by and watching. For those that are watching this back, if you're not subscribed to my channel, which the majority of you are, it's about 90%, do me a favor, hit that big red subscribe button, drop a like on the video, and leave a comment down below what you thought of this game on Saturday, the Cowboys' third preseason loss to the Houston Texans. They fell by a final of 20-14. Got one more next Sunday against Jacksonville. That is all I've got for you guys today. If you enjoyed, like I said, like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see y'all in the next one.